In this update, we'll be tracking a series of storm complexes over the coming days with very heavy rain coming in for the West Coast, snow for the Intermountain West. Then we'll have more snow that traverses across the Great Lakes into portions of the Northeast. And then further south, that storm complexes should bring some stronger storms, even severe storms, for the southern plains and heading into the southeast. So let's break down the details for you. Starting off with your Christmas Eve, we'll have a complex highlighted across the Northeast. That'll bring some snow across that region. We'll have another system that's going to be moving into portions of Texas. They could be seeing some stronger storms and even some severe storms just east of the I-35 corridor. And a much more potent storm will be building on off the West Coast. That is a system that will be diving into the southern plains, and those could be even turning more severe. And then yet we'll have another system that's trailing back behind that one. So it's definitely an active week ahead for your Christmas week. So if you are new to the channel and like detailed weather breakdowns, hit the subscribe button and you're in. You get all my daily content on this channel. And I would love to reach 250,000 subscribers by the end of the month. You can see I'm only 2,500 away, so you can help me get there by subscribing to the channel and following all my daily content. So this morning, we're still having the December chill in the air. It's been very cold over the eastern portions of the U.S. for the last couple of days. And this morning, they're definitely feeling the brunt. The winter chills in the air across Minnesota, into the Great Lakes, those areas into Michigan, back into New England. We're looking at below zero wind chills out there. So it's definitely some very colder air still trying to hang on. Of course, modified as we'll start to kind of warm up heading into your Christmas week. But here's the setup over the next couple of days. We are kind of in a quiet time right now, but it will be ramping up, especially heading into Tuesday, going into Thursday and Friday. But for your Sunday and to Monday, we'll be watching a complex that's moving across the Great Lakes. There's still some colder air, like I showed you up here across the Great Lakes. That will be ringing out some snow across those regions and then eventually heading into areas of the Mid-Atlantic into the Northeast for your Christmas Eve time frame, as we'll be watching that more potent storm likely entering the West Coast. That'll bring some heavier rains back in the West Coast of Washington and Oregon, those areas into Northern California. Unfortunately, for those areas across the Southwest, yes, I'm talking about you, Arizona and New Mexico, you will miss out on most of the precipitation with the systems ahead. But the snowfall between now and say Tuesday morning, so this is between now and your Christmas Eve morning with that complex that's traversing across the Great Lakes right now, that will highlight more snow over areas of Wisconsin, northern areas of Michigan, back into southern areas of Canada. And then those higher elevations across Pennsylvania, upstate New York, getting into Vermont, New Hampshire, as well as into Maine. And this will be the beginning stages of heavier snowfall that will likely come back for the Intermountain West regions. But we do have a warm up on the way. So we've got a strong Pacific jet stream coming in, and that's going to be elevating those temperatures in a big way. So much milder weather ahead, especially as that south wind returns. And as it does, those anomalies are going to, pick up big time, of going to be feeling very unusual on the milder side for Christmas, Christmas week standards of 10, 15, if not upwards to 20 above average temperatures, what you would typically see this time of year. But they'll also tap into some of the open Gulf of the Gulf of Mexico. That will increase the dew points. And as that first storm complexes comes across Texas on Tuesday, we could be looking at some elevated showers and storms, and some of those look like could turn strong and even severe in southeast Texas. But the moisture will be coming back in a big way for those areas into Texas, Arkansas, Missouri, back into Indiana and Ohio. And eventually, this will feed in the cooler sector. Will likely head to more snow for your Christmas Eve time frame, as we'll be watching that much more potent system coming in off the West Coast. They're likely going to be getting flooding rains by then back again on Christmas Eve day for Washington and Oregon and those areas across northern California. But the system further off to the south into the southern plains is going to tap into that very warm, moist air. So do expect as you wake up on Christmas Eve morning for those areas across Texas and Oklahoma, it's going to feel very muggy outside comparison to what you would typically feel for your Christmas Eve. And that will set the stage for stronger storms, and even some severe storms down in southeast Texas would likely turn severe in the heat of the afternoon for those areas into Waco, the Austin region, down here in the Houston Metroplex. Likely some large hail with this activity, some damaging winds up to 60 miles an hour. So we do have a marginal risk. Outside of there, we're not expecting severe weather, but likely some gustier winds. And some smaller hail can't be ruled out with those storms in central Texas, North Texas, back into East Texas. And this will eventually swing into Arkansas and Louisiana as well. So for your actual Christmas Eve afternoon, that complex will be highlighted over the Great Lakes will be moving eastbound, now setting up shop over areas of Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, back into upstate New York. Some of that snow is going to drift further south into Connecticut, down here to Massachusetts, as well as areas to Rhode Island. And then there's the rain coming back in the picture with some of the stronger storms down there, likely east of the I-35 corridor in Texas and Oklahoma. That will likely shift the heavier rains into Arkansas and areas of southern portions of Missouri. And then there's the heavier complex that will be moving in off the west coast, and that will be setting more snow for the Rockies. So we should start to see heavier snows move back in the picture by the time we actually get on your Christmas Day back into areas of Wyoming, Utah, the mountain ranges of Colorado, and the northern portions of New Mexico. The rain that was over Texas should not be severe. This should just be some scattered light rain showers into Louisiana, Arkansas, back into Missouri for your actual Christmas Day. But everybody else outside of that picture, that storm over the Northeast will be moving off the East Coast by then. So your actual white Christmas, who will actually see a white Christmas? This is typically when snow is actually falling out of the sky, or you have at least 1 inch of snow on the ground. So yes, you would likely be waking up on Christmas morning, the 25th, into Wisconsin, back into Michigan, those areas into Pennsylvania, upstate New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, back into Maine would likely see a white Christmas. And of course, with the Intermountain snows coming back out west, we'd obviously see a white Christmas as well. Outside of that, not many areas, right? So you do expect that warm up on the way. You're not going to be seeing much snow across the lower 48 besides the northern interior in the Intermountain West. But what's more concerning with that warm up and the much more potent system that will be coming in off the West Coast, now that will take more of a negatively tilted trough as we head into your Thursday. This is the day after Christmas. Thursday morning, Thursday afternoon, some of those could likely turn severe into Texas and Oklahoma, likely east of the I-35 corridor. So do expect the beginning stages of a fairly bumpy ride, especially as we head into Thursday into Friday, because we have more warm air convection tapping into as the atmosphere resets and reloads and pulls at higher dew points and the instability much higher out of the Gulf of Mexico, surging northbound, elevating those temperatures 15, 20, 25 degrees above average for your day after Christmas morning. So it's going to be another muggy morning. And unfortunately, some of those winds aloft are going to be changing rotations in height and could produce some tornadic activity. Is not out of the question in East Texas, eastern Oklahoma, eastern Arkansas, for those areas into eastern areas of Louisiana. For your day after Christmas, because we've got the low pressure center will highlight a comma Q shape of storms, and then we've got the snows coming back in the picture for the Intermountain West regions, and those would likely elevate and intensify as we get deeper into the days after Christmas. But we'll likely set up severe storms east of the I-35 corridor on your day after Christmas, east of southeastern Oklahoma, Arkansas, back into Louisiana. And this is where you would typically get severe storms for this time of year. So it's not like it's out of the ordinary to see complexes like this, even the month of December, if the dynamics are right. And when you do have a warmer December like we are having now, yes, the ingredients would likely be in place, especially with a negatively tilted trough coming in and some shear at the surface. We likely could see some of those turn tornadic into East Texas, especially for those areas into the southeast. And this would likely be Thursday into Friday for next week. A lot of the guidance is starting to come together. Of course, this is 5-6 days out from now. Nothing official from the Storm Prediction Center, but a lot of the analogs, the computer, the machine learning guidance is already hinting at this as much more favorable area with this particular setup, with severe storms highlighted across East Texas, eastern Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, down in the Dixie Alley region. So we'll definitely be fine-tuning this setup as we get closer, but we'll also be looking at heavier snows come back in the region for the Cascades, the Sierras. Definitely some heavier snows across this region, as we'll have that complex coming in. Heavy rain off the West Coast, snow into the higher elevations, and more snow, even heavier snows, will be moving back into the picture in Idaho, into western areas of Montana. The eastern areas would likely miss out for those areas that those guys live in Montana from any snow over the next 7 days, but likely if you back into Utah and to the mountain ranges of Colorado and Wyoming, would likely be back in the picture of those heavier snows as you get into the days after Christmas leading up to into your New Year's Eve. But the breakdown on the precipitation kind of looks like this. With these series of storm complexes coming in off the West Coast, you're going to get pounded with heavy rains off the West Coast from Washington to Northern California. The good thing, as the second system comes in on Thursday, yes, for those areas into Southern California, yes, I'm talking to Santa Barbara, even Los Angeles, could finally actually see at least some light rain out of this deal. Unfortunately, the desert Southwest miss out. Most of Arizona, most of New Mexico stays high and dry, and most of this activity is in the form of snow. But here's the setup further south, especially for the southern plains and the southeast corridor. This would likely be some heavier rains, especially this is the combination of the Tuesday storm, and then you have the Thursday and Friday storm complex. So most of this would likely be heavy rain, and some could turn severe, even tornadic within this region. Further north, we have the polar jet bringing more snow back into Minnesota, Wisconsin, those areas across the Great Lakes. And there's your snow breakdown over the next 7 days, as we'll be watching the complex that comes through areas of Christmas Eve timeframe. We'll dump a blanket of snow across Wisconsin, back into Michigan, southern areas of Canada, Pennsylvania, across the mid-Atlantic into New England. And then, of course, we'll have the Intermountain West snows that will produce the heavier snows back out there for the next 7 days. So, guys, I appreciate you guys watching. Do like this video. Definitely hit the subscribe button and catch my next update. Wire protect you before and after the storm.